Xbox hits a major milestone in Japan. Maybe the tides are turning, maybe they're not. Xbox and Japan, name a duo that have struggled to commingle harder than any other business. That's probably not even true, but either way, Xbox in Japan has always struggled. It's just never really been able to crack the nut that is the Japanese market, despite a lot of efforts, including this really awkward Bill Gates image thing here, whatever you want to call that. Either way, Xbox in Japan has historically struggled. They haven't been able to crack the market in the way that they had hoped, but today there's some news out that, well, maybe the tides are turning just ever, maybe marginally so slightly. So this, or I should say last week, the Xbox brand outsold PlayStation 5 in Japan. That means the Xbox Series S and X combined, but really, let's just be honest, the Xbox Series S outsold the PlayStation 5 last week. According to the new data, combined, the Series S and X, now keep in mind the Series S makes up 6,100 units and the X was only 100 units, so about 6,200 Xbox next-gen units or current-gen units were sold last week, where the PlayStation 5 only sold about 2,200. So that's a pretty big gap there that the Xbox brand was able to claw away from potentially PlayStation customers. That's a pretty big deal, because I believe the last time the Xbox brand outsold the PlayStation brand in Japan was on the week of the Xbox One launch. So that's not all that surprising. You got a console launching, that's going to be a big week. And so that was pretty much it. And then after that, it was all Team PlayStation from there on out. So the fact that Microsoft did crack the nut there, at least last week, is a pretty big deal and something they're probably excited about. It does not mean that Microsoft is about to win Japan and Xbox is the homegrown, like that. We're not even anywhere close to that. Now, adding all the numbers up for Japan, it looks like Xbox has crossed, I should say, 200,000 units sold in the country for this current generation, which is probably pretty good. I don't know how exactly that aligns to Microsoft's expectations, but they're always low in that country. Now, looking at this data, it's pretty obvious, potentially, maybe even what happened. So if you look back to last week or the previous week before that, PlayStation 5 sold about 23,000 units, whereas the Xbox brand sold about 6,000. So it's pretty clear that the PlayStation still is heavily favored, but hey, a single week where Xbox outsells PlayStation for Microsoft, I guarantee that is making them happy. Although, looking at the numbers about how many consoles have sold, I do wonder if the supply constraints in Japan just really clammed up in the past week from when this data was collected. And so, yeah, we will see. We will see. Either way, for Team Xbox, it's a bit of good news. It's just a little bit of light in what is typically a pretty cloudy market. Either way, it's good, positive news for Xbox. And so that's kind of about it, what's going on in Japan. And if you want to know what's going on else in the Xbox industry, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.